and I represent the 2nd Senate District here in Virginia. And I'm also the chair of the Senate Democratic Caucus. And we have an election coming up on November 5th. And it is your task and my task to ensure that we do win big on November 5th. It's time for a change in Richmond. While our colleagues may know how to win, they do not know how to govern. Democrats know how to govern. We are working to accomplish objectives to combat climate change and sea level rise. Here in Hampton Roads, it's costing us $34 billion to combat climate change and sea level rise. Since over the past 70 years, sea level rise is up 14 inches. We're second only to New Orleans as the largest population center at risk for sea level rise. 45,000 properties in our area are at risk from tidal flooding. We need solutions, not people talking about science is not real. They want to call it coastal flooding. It's climate change and sea level rise, people. Our communities are hurting from gun violence, from poverty and lack of access to jobs. We're hurting from being in food deserts. We're hurting from inadequate housing and evictions. We're hurting from a lack of health care. Democrats will bring solutions, not talk. We will bring solutions with sensible gun prevention laws and not adjourn in 90 minutes. We will bring solutions with minimum wage increases. We will bring solutions with bringing groceries closer to undeserved communities. We will develop eviction diversion programs. We will protect Medicaid expansion and the Affordable Care Act. We will not say that we supported Medicaid expansion when we didn't. Democrats are about solutions. But we can only bring solutions with your help on November 5th. Help us flip the House of Delegates and the Virginia Senate by giving Democrats control. We will be your voice for change and positive governance. And you know who else will be your voice for change and positive governance? Here this evening is a very strong Democrat with a plan for environmental justice. Isn't it nice to have someone who has a plan? A plan for health care, a plan for economic equity and justice, a plan for criminal justice reform, a plan for our military families and veterans. Someone who actually has a plan to go into effect to support our families in our communities. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to bring to this stage this Democrat who has a strong voice and a plan for positive change. I bring to you Senator Elizabeth Warren.
let me start by saying a very big thank you to, I love you too, to Senator Locke. Fabulous. Just wonderful. And we have many special guests. I also want to say a very special thank you to a man who has given me a lot of good advice and is always there, has served our country so honorably, Admiral Smith, wherever you are, Admiral Smith. Thank you. Get me started. Thank you. We also have another very special guest in the House, the man who helps lead the United States House of Representatives, who is on one of the most critical committees, who leads that committee on health and labor. Congressman Bobby Scott is here. Please stand. Congressman Scott and I are hatching all kinds of plans around labor and education. Am I right? Doing all this family stuff, I also brought along my husband Bruce. Where are you, sweetie? He's the man with the very debonair black cast on his arm. He defended Bailey from another dog, and Bruce ended up with a broken bone over it. But he's on the mend. He's on the mend and out with us. So I am just so glad to be here with you all today. 18 days. Virginia's going to get this done. In 2017, you inspired our nation. And what you did in 2017, the rest of the nation doubled down on 2018. Now in 2019, we're turning to you again. Do it again and inspire us for 2020. So I thought what we'd do tonight is I'll tell you a little bit about myself. We'll take some questions, and then if anybody wants to, I'll stay as long as you want and we'll do selfies. Yes, the core part of democracy. Okay, there we go. So, I was born and raised in Oklahoma. We got a few Okies here. Okay. There aren't so many of us, I understand that. Oh, I got one over here. Good. Good. I was the baby in the family. I have 3 much older brothers. I was what used to be called a late in life baby. My mother always just called me the surprise. Now, all 3 of my older brothers went off and joined the military. My oldest brother, Don Reed, was career military. He spent about 5.5 years off and on in combat in Vietnam. We were really lucky to get him back home. Very, very lucky. My brother John was stationed overseas for a little over a year. Now my brother David, the youngest of the 3, David trained as a combat medic. And to this day, we have a rule in our family. Never choke around David. He is convinced that he could perform an emergency tracheotomy, ready to go. Always has his sharpened pocket knife with him. It makes for some very exciting Thanksgivings. Anybody goes, and David's ready. The rest of us are like, whoa, back brother. I love my 3 brothers. They are to this day referred to as the boys, to distinguish them from the surprise. They've all retired, they all live back in Oklahoma, close together. When we were growing up, our daddy had a lot of different jobs. He sold fencing, He sold carpets, he sold housewares, he sold paint. And when I was in middle school, the boys were all gone by that point, and it was just my mama and my daddy and me. And my daddy had a massive heart attack. And for a long time, we thought he was going to die. The neighbors came in, the folks from church brought covered dishes, everybody spoke in quiet tones. Daddy made it through, and we were deeply grateful, but he couldn't work, not for a long, long time. And that meant no money coming in. I can still remember the day we lost our family station wagon. I remember learning words like mortgage and foreclosure. I remember how every night my mother would tuck me in, she'd kiss me on the forehead, she'd pat me, and I knew what was coming next. She'd walk outside, close my door, and lean back against it and start to cry. She wouldn't cry in front of me. And one day I walked into my folks' bedroom, and laid out on the bed was the dress. Now, some of you in this audience will know the dress. It's the one that only comes out for weddings, funerals, and graduations. And it's laid out on the bed, and I see it, and I look at the end of the bed, and there's my mama in her slip and her stocking feet, and she's pacing, and she's saying, "We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house." She was 50 years old. She had never worked outside the home, and she was terrified. And finally she sees me standing there in the doorway. I'm just a kid. And she looks at me, and she looks at that dress, and she looks at me, never says a word, wipes her face, pulls that dress on, puts on her high heels, and walks to the Sears and gets a full-time minimum wage job answering phones. That minimum wage job saved our house, and more importantly, it saved our family. I always think of this as the lesson my mama taught me, that no matter how scared you are, no matter how hard it looks, when it comes down to it, you reach down deep, you find what you have to find, you pull it up, and you take care of the people you love. That's what she taught me. It was years later that I came to understand that wasn't just what my mama taught me. That's what millions of Americans do every day. No matter how hard it looks, no matter how scared they are, they reach down deep, they find what they have to find, they pull it up, and they take care of themselves and the people they love. That's what we do. But it was only years after that I came to understand that same story is also a story about government. It's also a story about government, because understand this. Back when I was a girl, a full-time minimum wage job in America would support a family of 3. It would pay a mortgage, it would cover the utilities, and it would put food on the table. Today, a full-time minimum wage job in America will not keep a mama and a baby out of poverty. That is wrong, and that is why I am in this fight. is no accident. It's about who government works for. When I was a girl, go back and look, the question asked about minimum wage is, what does it take a family of 3 to survive? What does it take a family of 3 to get a foothold in America's middle class? What does it take a family of 3 to have something secure that they can build on? Today, the question asked in Washington is, where should the minimum wage be set to maximize the profits of giant multinational corporations? Well, I don't want a government that works for giant multinational corporations. I want one that works for our families. So, like I said, the 3 boys, they went off to the military. That was their path. That was their ticket to America's middle class. Me, I had a different plan. I have known what I wanted to be since 2nd grade. You may laugh back there. You didn't decide until what, like 4th grade? 5th grade, I can tell. Now me, I have known what I wanted to be since 2nd grade, and I've never wavered from it. I wanted to be a public school teacher. Can we hear it for America's public school? Yes, this is what I wanted. Oh, I wanted to teach public school. I gotta tell you, and I invested early. I used to line up my dollies and teach school. I had a reputation for being tough but fair. That's all I wanted. By the time I graduated from high school, my family didn't have the money for an application to college, much less to send me off to 4 years at a university. So here's the deal. Like a lot of Americans, I have a story that's not exactly a straight line. It's got a lot of twists and turns. So here's how mine goes. Graduated from high school, and I got a scholarship to college. Yay! And then, at 19, I fell in love, got married, and dropped out of school and got a minimum wage job. Not to that guy. To somebody who is currently referred to as husband number 1. Never a good sign when you have to number your husbands. It's true. Back in the story. So, here I am. Look, I chose it. It's going to be a good life. It was my decision. Nobody made me do this. But I thought I'd given up the dream, that was it. I'd stepped off and I would never get to be a teacher. And then I found it. We're living down in Houston at the time, and I found what was then a commuter college. It was about 45 minutes away, and it cost $50 a semester. And for a price I could pay for on a part-time waitressing job, I finished my 4-year diploma. I became a special needs teacher. I've lived my dream job. So, listen, we've got public school teachers in here. Yes. Yes, we've got any special needs teachers in here a few. This is not a job for teachers. It's a calling. I love the work. I love those babies. I had 4 to 6-year-olds, mostly, and to this day, I can remember faces, names. I can remember successes. I can remember places we didn't get it done. I loved it. And I probably would still be doing that work today, but my story has another twist in it.